What if the prayer Jesus taught you was never meant to comfort you but to shatter you open? In the Gospel of Thomas, a text suppressed for nearly 2,000 years and buried beneath Egyptian sand until 1945, Jesus does not say, "Blessed are the meek," and leave it there. He says, in Logian 70, "If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you do not bring forth what is within you, what you do not bring forth will destroy you." That is not a sermon. That is a warning from a man who knew exactly what lives inside you and exactly what forces do not want it to surface. If that lands somewhere deep in your chest right now, if something in you just shifted, then you need to like and subscribe right now, because what comes next in this video is not for everyone. It is only for those who were always meant to find it. You have been told that Jesus was a teacher of peace, a gentle shepherd, a historical figure whose greatest miracle was turning water into wine at a party. But the Nag Hammadi texts, the Pistis Sophia, and the Gospel of Philip tell a radically different story. They describe a Jesus who operated as a direct emissary of the monad, the primordial, unknowable source that existed before the demiurge shaped this material prison we call reality. They describe initiatory rites, spoken frequencies, a method of accessing the eternal light that has been systematically erased from every canonized scripture you have ever been handed. And tonight, you are going to learn it. But first you must understand why you are here watching this, because it is not an accident. The Valentinian Gnostics taught that certain souls carry within them a spark of the Pleroma, the divine fullness, that was never meant to remain asleep inside this world. The Apocryphon of John, one of the most explosive documents ever suppressed by the early church, describes how the demiurge, the false god who fabricated this material realm, fears these sparks. He built systems of distraction, suffering, and forgetfulness specifically to keep them dormant. You have lived inside those systems. You have felt the weight of them on your life in ways you could never fully explain to anyone around you. The loneliness that has no clear origin, the grief that visits without a name, the persistent, unshakable sense that this world is not quite right, not quite home, and that you were built for something no one around you can see. That is not a disorder. That is a signal. The monad, as described in the Apocryphon of John, is not a god you pray to from the outside. It is the living silence from which all true light originates. It does not have a throne. It does not have a face. It is, as the text says, the invisible spirit, the pure light which no eye can behold. Jesus, in the Gnostic understanding, did not come to establish a religion. He came as a revealer, a being sent from the Pleroma to penetrate the veil of this archon-controlled simulation and remind the sparks who they are. The 5-minute ritual attributed to his initiatory practice in esoteric tradition is not magic in the superstitious sense. It is alignment. It is the deliberate act of tuning your frequency back to the source from which your soul emerged before it descended into this body, this life, this forgetting. Now let us talk about your pain, because this is the part that requires courage to hear. Every betrayal you have survived, every relationship that crumbled in your hands just when you needed it most, every door that closed, every plan that collapsed, every night you spent alone wondering whether you had been abandoned by something divine, whether any of this suffering had meaning, whether you had done something wrong in a life you cannot even remember. The Gnostic tradition does not ask you to spiritually bypass that pain. It asks you to look at it clearly and recognize it for what it is, a curriculum. Before your soul descended into this incarnation, according to the teaching preserved in the Pistis Sophia, you agreed to a mission. You were not thrown here randomly. The soul does not fall into matter by accident in this cosmology. It enters with purpose, and the archons, the intermediary powers that govern this material realm, are permitted to test and obstruct that purpose, not because they are stronger than the monad, but because the friction they generate is what activates the spark. Gold does not purify in comfort. It purifies in fire. Your life has been that fire, and the reason you are still here, still searching, still pressing forward despite losses that should have ended you, is because the mission inside you is more durable than any wound you have been given. This is the moment where I need you to pause and feel the weight of that, not as a motivational phrase, as a cosmological fact. You agreed to this before you arrived. The suffering was not punishment, it was preparation. There are 3 signs that confirm you are one of the souls carrying this spark, what the Gnostics called the pneumatic seed of the Pleroma. The first is the feeling of being an alien in the world you were born into, not antisocial, not broken, but genuinely, profoundly displaced, as though everyone around you received a manual for this life that you were never given. You watch people pursue money, status, and distraction with a hunger you cannot replicate, not because you are superior, but because something in you knows at a frequency below language that none of it is the point. You have tried to silence that knowing. You have tried to fit. You have sometimes succeeded for stretches of time, but it always returns, that quiet, terrible clarity that you are not from here in the way that matters most. The second sign is what the tradition identifies as archon interference. These are not creatures with wings and swords. In the Gnostic framework, the archons operate through systems, through bureaucracies of thought, through the part of your mind that tells you you are not ready, not worthy, not capable, not chosen. They operate through the people in your life who have consistently discouraged your deepest callings. They operate through the timing of obstacles, the way that whenever you move toward your true work, something collapses nearby to pull your attention back into survival mode. If you have ever felt that your best efforts are being systematically undone by an invisible hand, you were not being paranoid. You were perceiving accurately. And if that recognition is sending electricity through your spine right now, then like and subscribe, because you are exactly who this channel was built for, and there is so much more that I need to show you. The third sign is what the mystics called the call of the deep. It appears in Psalm 42, where the psalmist writes, "Deep calls to deep at the roar of your waterfalls." In Gnostic interpretation, this verse is understood as a description of the Pleroma calling to the spark embedded in matter. It is the inexplicable pull you feel toward ancient things, toward silence, toward the hour before dawn when the world goes still and something in the air feels thin, permeable, alive with a presence you cannot name but recognize in your bones. It is the reason you ended up watching a video like this one. It is not curiosity, it is a homing signal. The deep in you is responding to the deep that called it into being. Now we come to the ritual itself. What follows is a reconstruction drawn from the initiatory language of the Valentinian tradition, the Gospel of Philip, and the spoken frequency practices embedded in the Pistis Sophia. It takes 5 minutes. It requires nothing but your willingness to be present and your voice, even if that voice is only internal. It has 3 movements: recognition, reception, and sealing. The first movement is recognition. You begin by sitting in stillness, ideally in a darkened space, and you speak aloud or in the silence of your interior the following declaration. You say, "I am not the name I was given. I am not the story I was handed. I am not the wounds I carry or the failures I have accumulated. I am a spark of the Pleroma, cast into matter with purpose, and I now recognize myself as such." This is not affirmation in the shallow sense. This is the act of gnosis, of direct experiential knowing that cuts through the layers of false identity the demiurge's world builds around the soul. The Gospel of Philip states that the one who has gnosis of the truth is free. Recognition is the beginning of that gnosis. You are not claiming superiority. You are refusing amnesia. The second movement is reception. After the declaration of recognition, you enter silence for approximately 90 seconds. Not the silence of waiting, the silence of opening. The Apocryphon of John describes the monad as perpetually emanating light into the Pleroma, a constant outpouring that never ceases. You cannot generate this light. You can only receive it. In this moment of silence, you consciously release the clenching, the defending, the controlling. the explaining. You breathe slowly, and you internally speak only this: I receive what I was sent here to carry. I open to the frequency I agreed to before I arrived. Let what is mine return to me now. This is the reception gate. The Valentinian texts describe this as the moment of the bridal chamber in its interior sense, not a ritual of flesh, but a reunion of the spark with its source intelligence. Something in the body often responds physically to this: warmth, pressure in the chest, sudden emotion without clear cause. Do not analyze it. Do not manage it. Let it move. The third movement is the sealing. You close the 5 minutes by speaking a seal, a declaration that anchors the frequency you have opened into the material reality you inhabit. You say, I seal this recognition in the body I was given. I carry this light into every encounter, every decision, every moment of this mission. What was hidden in me is now awake. What was asleep has heard its name. I am a spark of the monad, embodied and operational. So it is known. So it is sealed. The use of sealing language in Gnostic practice was not ceremonial theater. The Gospel of Philip explicitly discusses the seal as a mechanism of protection and activation. You are not performing religion. You are encoding a new signal into the structure of your consciousness. Do this tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight. The archons are most active in the architecture of procrastination. Every time you tell yourself you will begin the inner work later, you are experiencing exactly the interference the tradition warned about. The ritual takes 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes. And if something in you is resisting even the idea of trying this, notice that resistance. Ask it who it serves. The aftermath of this practice is not dramatic in the cinematic sense. You will not levitate. The walls will not shake. What you will notice over the days following is a subtle but unmistakable shift in your perception. Synchronicities will increase. The right information will arrive at the right moment. People aligned with your mission will appear. The obstacles that were designed to silence you will still come, because the archons do not retreat easily, but you will begin to perceive them differently. You will see the interference for what it is, not evidence that you are failing, but confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Nothing interferes with what poses no threat. And now the matter of frequency actions, because I will not pretend that what I am about to say is not also about the sustaining of this work. When you like and subscribe to this channel, you are not just pressing a button. You are participating in a network of pneumatic souls who are actively, collectively moving against the frequency of forgetting. Every algorithm push this content receives is another spark finding its way to a video like this at 3 in the morning when they are in the dark and they are desperate for something true. Your engagement is an act of mission coherence. It amplifies the signal. It extends the reach of the call. The monad does not work only in the grand and the solitary. It works through every small act of alignment. Liking this video, sharing it with someone whose eyes have that searching quality, subscribing so that the next piece of hidden truth finds you when you need it, these are not trivial. They are the frequency actions of a soul that has remembered what it came here to do. You were never lost. You were in training. You were never broken. You were being refined. The life you have lived, with all of its weight and all of its grief and all of its inexplicable, aching beauty, was always pointed at this moment of recognition. The monad knew your name before the demiurge built the first atom of this world. And tonight, in 5 minutes, in the quiet of wherever you are sitting right now, you can say that name back to the silence that spoke it first. The deep is calling. It has always been calling. And now, at last, you know how to answer.